Welcome back to Beneath the Beat. Just want to let everybody know, I know this is a music podcast, but we did get very deep into social issues and everything like that. So without further ado, here's part 2 of our interview with Jacob Sigman.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Did you see this thing? Did you see about...
So this brings us to the next point, not necessarily the boomers not understanding the internet, but talking about social media. So I'm really interested, how did you go about leveraging social media and putting an album out in the time of COVID?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the cool thing was that I already had like a set plan, you know? So I was like, well, I'm like 7 months into this release cycle. This isn't really changing anything. Sadly, my life was like mostly spent working in my room anyway. So like it wasn't really a problem for me to keep doing that. What did kind of make me think twice was during the heat of the summer protests.
Yep.
That was the only time that I didn't like really push anything on social media because it fell like right around the time of George Floyd's death. And like that was one of those times where like social media was like a holy place, you know, and it was just about the movement.
Right. Absolutely.
And that was like cool in a way. I feel like also like, and all of 2020, like, you know, I think artists oftentimes can end up like fall into the trap of comparing themselves to one another. And like that is part of the reason why I don't like social media, is because it forces you to compare yourself to other people. But in that moment, I felt like all of that stuff wasn't important anymore, you know, and that all of these people that maybe I compared myself to, we were on the same page. And in realizing that there was something that was so much more important than our you know, egos. And that was cool to like be like, oh yeah, like everybody just kind of knows that like this is not the time to share your art or whatever, unless it's like something constructive to what is on, you know, the forefront. And like I think that since then it's definitely been more on my mind, like, you know, what is important to share and what is the purpose of social media, and like how do you keep those, because like we all recognized in that moment something that was so blatantly obvious and that needs to stay kind of like at the front of our minds. And I think it's been kind of a challenge for me to be like, how do I get back to like sharing my music, and sharing my music on social media is really important to my job and, you know, to my career and everything, but also like at the same time, not just letting that all go, not letting the Black Lives Matter movement be just like a moment in our lives, and like how to live it and try to share those stories still and kind of try to build it more into my life and I guess on my social media as well to some extent, but I think more just so into my life.
And I think for all of us, I know me in particular, like Black music is such an inspiration. Like it's such a foundation for what we do. And so like paying homage to the music, like paying homage to our people that inspired us. And also I believe that this instance, this summer in particular, was the difference that's going to set us in a new direction. Like beforehand, I felt like there's things that happen every couple of years, and then it just kind of like, oh, everybody makes a big deal, and then it just kind of gets swept under the rug. I felt like this time it's on the forefront of everybody's mind. And like Zach, you were saying earlier, I think there's going to be a lot of change when it comes to legislation, which I think is so important. It's so important, and it's so necessary for us to move forward as a culture.
Absolutely.
And I feel like if you're not on board with that, then
Dude, I think that's one of the reasons why everything is so polarized right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like, I know, okay, I know a lot of Republicans, right? And I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go into like political talk, but there's things that we're allowed to disagree on, and then there's things that we are fucking not allowed to disagree on.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's if you don't support Black Lives Matter, that's like, are you a fucking piece of shit? Like, I don't care if
Right.
you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, you don't support this movement. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think this is? Like, I heard this one earlier where they're like, well, you know, this kid was talking about why he didn't like black people, and he's like, well, a black guy stole my stuff. And then his mom chimed in when the guy like responded and was like, well, so you're judging a whole race off of one person? And his mom chimed in and was like, well, you guys do the same thing about cops. And I'm like, listen, this is different. How do you not see the differences? Blue isn't a race, dude. Like,
But, I think that, well, I think it's so many things. And that's the hard thing is like, I agree. Like there's some things we can disagree on and some things that we can't. But like climate change is like kind of another one of those things that we kind of have to be on the same page here.
Science. It's science, man.
But at the same time, man, like when everybody's watching Fox or like when the right is watching Fox News, they're getting a whole different set of facts than we are. And like at a certain point, like it comes down to my facts are right and your facts are wrong. And that there's no room for a discussion there, No. So like I'm so frustrated a lot of the times with like the conservative people that I encounter, but at the same time, I kind of pity them because I'm like, it's, you're just kind of regurgitating what you've been told on these media outlets that are lying and taking advantage of you, and that's sad, honestly. But like, it doesn't excuse it.
yeah, I mean, I feel really similar, and that's what brings us back around to like social media, because it's like they might hear something on Fox News, right? Just like somebody might hear something on CNN or hear something on CNBC, but it's then reinforced by these algorithms on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok that they find.
Zach, stop being such a fucking conspiracy theorist.
Dude, it's not a conspiracy. It's the way it fucking works. But yeah, I mean, that's where the real danger is, because these people, like, just like me, I adamantly believe that climate change is a real fucking problem. And, there's laundry lists of sites that you can go to that support this. And there's tons of
science. It's scientifically proven.
Yes, but you will also find some very few scientists who still deny it. And you can't say that that's not out there. It is.
No, but okay, if like I had like type 2 diabetes and like 99 doctors told me to stop eating donuts, but then one doctor told me that I should eat donuts. I mean, like,
that doctor's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. But I'm going to side with the 99 doctors.
But I think that's where we also have to look into like how much fact checking are both sides doing, or are they letting most of what they're seeing to actually inform this decision be their peers or articles they see on Facebook or, different videos that they saw about this leader saying this thing. And that's where, again, social media. I'm a fucking downer today. I don't know what happened.
No, man, I feel you. I feel you. We gotta figure it out. We gotta figure out how to get the truth back out there, and I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we just gotta keep talking about it, and I think we need to go to the opposite places and talk about it.
And because that's the thing. I feel like a lot of times these political divides are not really rooted in facts. They're more rooted in emotions.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say too, is we need to we need to have a discussion. We don't need to have people screaming at the top of their lungs about things. We need to have a discussion, or, and as tough as that could be for a lot of people, and that's about certain policies. There's other things where it's like what we were just talking about with Black Lives Matter. If you're not on that ship, I don't want to talk to you regardless. But like if it's some, other policies, other things, like we need to have discussions. We don't need to have screaming arguments, because screaming arguments don't do anything for anybody.
And like, if you're not down with Black Lives Matter, I'm not down with you for sure. Mm-hmm. And like those kind of concerns, I think, are not fair game. But I think what is fair game is a real sense of fear and anxiety that your country will become something that you're no longer a part of or welcome in, Yeah. And I think that there's a portion of America where they've been told that's what's happening and they're scared. Mm-hmm. And like, that's fair. That doesn't, I'm sad that what's the powers that be have used that fear to turn people against, other races instead of against, the rich 1% that are the reason for all of their economic anxieties. But that's what's happened. And like, if I feel like we have to recognize that fear and be like,
that's true.
No, we're not the enemy. Like, fucking Jeff Bezos is the enemy. And we can all get that money, but you got to stop being like so racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that brings up a good point too, is like with a lot of people who are very one-sided on an issue, I think the last thing that you need to do in order to try to connect with them is come at them aggressively. I think there's a lot of people that come at other people with different ideologies very aggressively. You're not going to, even if there was a smidgen of, if there was like a smidgen of you making them hear your point and maybe believing your point, that goes out the window if you are aggressive, if you are emotional about what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's very important for us to have conversations, not necessarily like what I was saying, not necessarily screaming arguments, because that doesn't do anything for anybody.
Yeah, man. I feel like we just know too much,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got too many facts flying around. I wish that we just didn't really know. Mm-hmm. And we were just like, we need to take care of the earth because that's what we got to do,
Yeah. And
that's what God told us to do.
We
just all agree on that. We just all agree on that.
I don't know how we can't all agree on that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like so much of why we can't is because people are so uncomfortable with being wrong now.
My God. Yeah.
Just like when you were talking, Jacob, about writing those songs and being okay with writing a bad song. It's like none of us want to write that bad song.
Mm-hmm.
None of us want to do that. But you have to be okay to be able to move through it. And you have to be okay with realizing that maybe your opinion on climate change was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the facts that you had about police brutality were incorrect.
Yeah. I feel like the majority of Republicans, they're not evil, they're just wrong. Mm-hmm. But the Republican leaders, they're evil. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fucking Gates.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that too, because how many of you guys have been in like maybe a debate with somebody and you realize that you were absolutely wrong about something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
all the time when I talk to Haruki.
Right. That's a tough feeling to have, but to have the humility to be like, you know what? You're right and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
How many people can say they can do that, And that's another thing. It's like having that vulnerability to be okay with the fact that, as opposed to being wrong, like I'm now educated in something.
Right. Yeah.
That's like rephrasing that where it's like, it's right now it's like, well, I'm right and you're wrong. Well, it's like, let's just be educated. Let's educate each other on things. Like here's some statistics, here's whatever. And that that in itself creates unity, and that in itself creates like a more progressive society.
Yeah,
In fact,
absolutely.
Just need to educate ourselves. And if that doesn't go, with X, Y, and Z of your political views, who cares?
Right.
Okay. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So
that's one thing that I feel like from a musical standpoint, I feel like we need to do better as far as educating people about why the music exists, like why it actually exists. Where did it actually come from?
Yeah.
You know, like there's I I know this is one time when I had to look at myself. I was talking, of course, to Haruki, and he was playing this snippet of Theo Croker, and I was like, man, I wonder if he has any classical training. Like his upper register is bomb, and Haruki he got pretty frustrated by that, and he's like, somebody doesn't need classical training to be able to do something like that, and you saying that is inherently racist. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, just because somebody doesn't practice classical, you can still practice the same skills in a jazz mindset. And it's a totally different way of thinking about it, but you're taught in academia that this is the right way to do it. If you don't do it this way, this is the only way that you can do that. And I'm like, damn, I never thought about it that way. That's me suppressing,
yeah.
You know?
Fuck you, Zach.
I mean, it's
No,
true,
but
you know?
No, for real. I mean, wow,
100%. That's powerful, and like that's a hard thing to recognize. And dude, it's like I think about that a lot of the time too. Like, not only that, like the way that we've been taught to think about music was always like West is best, and like Europe is like the whatever, like
right.
the higher authority here, but like. Just like in general, that stuff is right and wrong in music, you know? Like, what does it sound like? That I feel like that is the more important question. And like, I think that whole right, wrong mentality is like at the root of all of our creative roadblocks, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and then Zach, going off of what you were saying earlier, diving into a lot of the artists who created this foundation for us, artists such as Marvin Gaye, you know, when he's creating like these, like for instance, the song What's Going On, you know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is a bang, like this is a song, like it's a pop tune, like we all know this tune, but like what is the root of that song? Like that song is about police brutality.
Yeah.
And it's people like having like the recognition of the, like knowing where the music came from and having that extra urge and sensibility to dive deeper into those lyrics and dive deeper into why that song was written. It would educate a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's something I think about a lot of the time too. Like, like the music that I play is like R&B and soul, and that is music that, you know, is foundation, like has its foundations and was grown in by Black musicians, you know, and me being like a white guy, how do I approach that? And like if I wanted to, like, you know, I do a lot of music that's like newer R&B or like, you know, borderline hip hop, and how do you do that and be respectful, you know, at the same time, and like pay homage to that legacy and recognize like how you fit into the picture, you know? And it's just so sad, like time and time again, how popular music has kind of sprung onto the front page. And it's like a new kind of music that Black communities have invented, you know, like jazz or rock or hip hop. And I feel like there's never proper homage paid to where the music comes from. And I feel like oftentimes like the Black artists are either tokenized or not given the respect they deserve in the creation of this new art form, you know?
Yeah.
So I think about that a lot, and like how I fit into the picture, you know, and like what I can, I don't know how I should be. You know, it's hard.
Well,
I don't have the answer.
I honestly, I think conversations like this are just such a great step. You know,
Yeah.
such a great step. Just having the awareness and vulnerability of saying, you know, this music inspired me, and where did this music come from? It came from African American culture.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be, what you were saying, Jacob, I think we need to be respectful of that. Respect is such a huge thing. We need to have respect for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not that like shitty, stupid, bullshit ass liberal respect where you think that you actually respect something, but you don't actually know anything about it. You're just trying to be woke. Like actual real fucking respect.
And respect comes, I feel like respect comes through just research.
Yeah.
Respect comes from taking the time and researching and just, and because time is such a valuable resource for us. We need to take that time and actually research and do what we need to do to pay our respects to that music, because it's everything. It's the reason why we are where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah.
100%.
And also just pay respects to the actual people, the individual people that fucking made that happen.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
it's so important.
Yeah. Like another tune, I talk about this all the time because I, again, fell fucking victim to this. I just learned recently. You guys know the song Chocolate Rain went fucking viral back when we were in school, right?
Yeah.
That song.
Oh, that guy's voice is funny.
Yeah, and then you look at him and he's like a skinny dude, and you're just like, oh damn, dude. You never thought that you'd be like Chocolate Rain.
Right. Yeah.
That song is also about racism. You know what I mean? Like chocolate rain, some stay dry and others feel the pain. Like
whoa.
Like and that's something that as a society we were like, haha, this is fucking hilarious. But in reality, that's saying some shit.
Just like, and that's like we just looked right over that.
Oh my god, we're all like chocolate rain.
Exactly. You know,
it's so humiliating.
Yeah. But it's just stuff that, like, and that's one thing about like the conservative argument that I like understand and don't understand at the same time, where they're like, you're coddling your kids. And they get to the place where you're like, what, are you gonna have to go up to somebody and say, like, I don't know, all these like, you know, just different lists of things where it's like, on the other hand, in reality, you're really just trying to educate yourself better. Like, so you know better so you could do better. And you're just trying to not be an asshole, trying to not be a total piece of shit navigating the universe as we are. Like, you know?
And it's a hard thing to like try and grapple with the nuance of our modern society.
Nuance. That's a word. That's exactly the right word for that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not simple.
Yeah.
And like we have all these new rules and this new etiquette as we try to be more respectful to the people in the world. And I feel like, if you're not ready for that kind of nuance, it's easy to just write it off. It's like, oh, that's weak. You know, like you're weak for doing that. What, like, why does it make you weak to try to make someone else feel more comfortable? You know?
Yeah. And there's just like, I mean, we're at such a crazy spot with that as well. You know, just like you guys know Jordan Peterson, the guy who. Yeah, you know Jordan Peterson. So like his whole argument about like, you know, the gender pronouns and things like that is really interesting if you look into it and don't just automatically think he's a piece of shit. Because I definitely think he says some things that are like, damn, you're a piece of shit. But his argument is not that you shouldn't use the right pronouns, it's that it shouldn't be legislated for you to use the right pronouns. And in some respect, I actually do understand that.
Sure.
Because you know, I'm somebody who, like, if I fuck up and use the wrong pronouns, I feel terrible. You know what I mean? Like I'm all for, using the right pronouns, are very pro-trans, but when you're getting into legislating speech, that's really tough, because then you could see, well, 50 years down the road, if I accidentally misgender somebody, am I going to go to jail because this person got pissed off? You know,
right?
Like, and so it's a really tough ground. I'm telling you guys, we're at the fucking brink of change. We are going to either create it or break it.
But that also creates the separation from people who have empathy. Like, they don't need legislation. We don't need legislation to make people feel comfortable, you know?
Exactly.
And the people that do need legislation to make people feel comfortable should probably just go fuck themselves. Because like that's, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, are you comfortable with this? Fine. How is that so hard? You know?
Yeah,
right.
And that's the difference, you know? That's the difference between people who I feel like are inherently empathetic and great people and people who are not.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's,
dude.
Jacob, go for it.
Well, it's so funny because, like, I feel like it's just like with the masks. They're like, oh, if you wear a mask, you're weak. And we're like, no, motherfucker, I'm wearing the mask to protect you. Come on. Like, it's like the same thing with, like, you know, trying to be conscientious about using the right pronouns for people and, like, trying to just, like, conduct yourself in a way that makes other people feel comfortable. It's like you're not doing it to protect yourself. You're doing it to try to make other people feel more comfortable and safe in this world, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't make you weak. Like, you're doing, I'm not doing it for me.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it just makes me, it's so backwards.
Yeah.
No, but I totally, that is so, and Jacob, you really helped enlighten me to this too. It's like, it's the idea of just making people feel safe and comfortable. Making people feel safe and comfortable in this world, because it's already, especially 2020 has proved this, it's already hard enough. Yeah. You know? So why don't we just have a little bit more empathy?
Remember when we were all like, 2019 sucked, 2020. And then, like, Australia's on fire, Kobe's gone, and now the world's just gone in the shitter.
Neil Peart dies.
Neil Peart, Eddie Van Halen today.
Dude.
Yeah.
Can we quickly Can we quickly pay homage to that guy? Because wow, what an inspiration.
Very sad, man.
Inspiration also, like, we've lost so many people. Chadwick Boseman, like what you were just saying.
God.
Like, wow.
Just like, it's been a rough year.
Yeah.
It's been a rough year.
But it's the year that we all woke up, you know?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people have. And you know what? Honestly, I think I was watching CNN. I was watching CNN with literally my grandpa, who's 90 years old, and he is like, he has dementia, and he is, you know, he's it's a matter of time. But we were watching CNN together, and he was like, you know what? This debate, I think, made people really open their eyes a little bit.
Yes.
The debate. Out of anything else, he's like, the debate really made people open their eyes a little bit. It's like, maybe.
I think that that's true, man. Like, I think that people like thought that Donald Trump was just like, oh, he's just like a little bit crazy on Twitter. He's not like that in real life. And then they were like, like, you couldn't look away from that, you know? And like, people are like, damn. And then like,
damn.
Like, people are like, that was weird as hell. Like, I did not like, nobody felt good. I didn't even like, obviously Joe Biden won that debate, but I didn't feel good. Like, I was like, that was gross. Like, I feel like we all lost. And then like, the real kicker is like, then he gets COVID. Like, everybody's like, this is weird. And he does all those weird videos. Everyone's
and
like
pictures of him like working through COVID. Like, this is
he's like signing blank pieces of paper. We're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's.
But I feel like the collective is like, dude, we're just being played right now. We're being played. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. It's weird because this is the point where I don't get how there's people who are still undecided. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's what I think about too. I'm like, they like watch that and they're like,
yeah, yeah. Well, it's also it's like you've seen the display over the last 3.5 years. You know, you've seen what's happened. You've seen Joe Biden's track record. It's not like he's a strapping young lad anymore. You know what this guy's about. And I don't know. It's just weird because you pretty much know everything about these two guys. You know what I mean?
It's like you're on an. I heard this is like you're on an airplane, and they're like, "Would you like the chicken or the shards of glass?" And they're like, "Well, how's the chicken cooked?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. No, dude, it's really weird. Did you see there was a video of Joe Biden being interviewed after the debate? And
he was like, "What the fuck?" He's like sweating probably.
he was like sitting there. He was like kind of looking off in the distance, like he's like, being Joe Biden. He was like, then the reporter asked him, they're like, "So you said you called Donald Trump a clown. You told him to shut up. You said he was the worst president in the history of the country. Do you regret saying any of that?" And without skipping a beat, he's like, "No." they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because all of it was true."
Dude, they were like interviewing undecided voters. I also have a grandma who loves watching CNN, so we were watching some CNN and like, or maybe I forget where I was watching it, but there's like I think it was just like viral or something. They like were interviewing some undecided voter, and they're like, Did it upset you that he called him a clown?" And he was like, "I mean, if the shoe fits." If the clown shoe fits, and everyone's like, "Oh!"
I saw that one. Dude, yeah, it's just weird times. I think the biggest thing is like you have to go and vote.
Yeah. And I think that
true.
Man, if you can do more, do more. I'm working the polls this November, man.
Are you really?
Dude,
yes.
Wow. Man, that's good.
Yes. They need people. There's like my grandma did it every year, and like you can't be doing that shit if you're like 90.
Yeah.
Because like all the Trumpies are gonna come in without a mask because they're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, like I'm determined and I'm not taking it for granted, but I have hope. Man.
Yeah.
There's lines today in Ohio. People are already lining up to vote. People care, and I think people realize the importance of this moment. So I think if the process is fair, and I think we might have to fight for that too. But I think what we're witnessing right now is like the last gasp of air from a sinking ship.
Yeah. I mean, you can only hope. Because
hey man,
you can
only hope.
Yeah.
You can only hope.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, so my dad, man, love that guy. Amazing guy. Can be racist as hell sometimes. Like just the shit that he says. And for everybody who doesn't know, my dad's Moroccan. My dad's very brown. Okay. I grew up hearing my dad say always, this is like throughout my whole life, he's like, "Oh my God, American people are the stupidest people on earth." and I'm always
I feel like globally that's a very common expression.
Yeah, that's what everybody in France told me.
Well, that's what I was like. When I was growing up, I was always like, "Dad, you can't just say that. Like, you can't just say that." And this year, I found myself fucking agreeing with my dad, being like, him and I get on the phone and like, okay, my dad is very extra. People think I'm fucking extra. You should be this brown motherfucker. Like he gets on the phone, he can't not talk about it. He's like, "Oh my God, how's there undecided voters right now? Oh my God, you Americans, I tell you, they're the stupidest people." And I'm like, "Dad, you're fucking right, bro." Like, I don't know what else to say, dude. You're right.
Yeah. Think about how dumb the average person is. lessons and then realize that half of the people are dumber than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Have you guys ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
oh God, yes, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're headed there.
The funny thing about that movie is if you haven't seen it, Idiocracy is a great movie. It's really funny. It was also written 500, 600 years in the future. People like being this stupid. This is 15 years after the movie was written and put out there. And it's like, wow, I can already see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. We're living like a science fiction movie and a political drama and just like every movie in the book.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Horror,
Pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Contagion.
Anyway, since we're talking about the future, let's talk about the past. Jacob,
Ooh.
I wanna know more about where your roots as far as starting to play and write came from. Like, were you from a musical family, or you know what?
Well, kind of. My grandma has a really good ear, but like no one in my family had ever pursued a career in the arts. And I started taking lessons because my older brother was taking lessons, and I was the beneficiary of being the younger brother, so I kind of got to like see what he was doing, and then got to do it myself. And we had like a shtick. He would like play the piano, and I would stand in front and sing, and we would like do that at like my aunt's wedding. After that, I was like, oh yeah, I brought the house down.
I bet you did, bro.
The song from Oliver Twist.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but after that, I was just like really had the bug for performing, and I wrote a lot of like little kiddie songs when I was a kid, and I really liked musicals. I really liked Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and then I got obsessed with the Beatles.
There you go.
And that was it, you know.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool.
while I didn't have like a musical family per se, they were always like really supportive of like listening to music, and they showed me a lot of great music, mostly the Beatles. And then, you know, once I started showing an interest in music, I had piano lessons and some guitar lessons, my childhood and stuff that I think were pretty foundational for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Having supportive parents is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's so crucial. Specifically for me as a drummer, like having parents that were like that put up with me being downstairs and practicing drums during the middle of the day. Like, I know as parents, like specifically supporting your kids in music, that is so important to have that patience.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of parents that don't have that, which is, I feel, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because support comes in so many different ways when you're talking about pursuing music, you know? Like my parents were really, really supportive in the fact that they would let me do whatever I wanted to musically, and they would give me the tools to be able to do that, i.e., you know, instruments, lessons, things like that. They gave me all of those tools, but not as much when it came to playing music at my house when it was past like 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? And that's a crazy thing, you know, like that's one thing that I wish I had, but I also wouldn't give that in lieu of, you know, the tools that I was given to be able to be successful in this, you know, like it's support comes in so many different ways. And one thing I feel like we as musicians, especially young musicians growing up, looking at our parents, is like realizing that your parents are people and this is their life that they're living. And so it's, if they're not always 100% like, yeah, you can play at 11 p.m. or something like that, or like, hey, I'm sorry, we don't have the money right now for you to, you know, go and do this summer program. Like, I'm sorry, but something else, or maybe another time. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You have to recognize where the support comes from, you know, where it is.
So I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so this is commercial. that Yamaha came out with. I want to share this really quick. I don't know if we can do this for copyright or whatever.
I don't think so. Probably not.
Okay. I'm just going to share this anyways.
Yeah, do it. And then I'll just cut it out, the actual spot.
But I'm like, when I first saw this, I like teared up because it's like, it reminds me a lot of my parents. But it's amazing.
I have you and you have me. Everywhere I go, you're there. Years will, and you will see that I have you and you have me.
Oh my God, you got to send me that.
That's
Isn't it
good.
this is so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's so
that's
beautiful,
good.
and I 100% get that. That's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like our parents had to put up with a lot of shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get jealous sometimes of like those kids whose parents were musicians. So
Right.
like they always got it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
My parents didn't always get it, but they were always down. They're
Right.
like,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
We've gotten to the point now where they're like, we don't really know what advice to give you, but it seems, you know, we support you. That's
You're doing well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Such a cool commercial. I thought it
Yeah.
was really
so
That's
cool.
Yeah, that's really cool how you can get to that point with your parents, you know. Like
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's like a learning curve on both ends, you know. Parents have to learn how to be with their kid who wants to be super fucking loud all the time. And kids have to learn what are the right things to show my parents. That's something I used to do growing up playing music all the time. Is like every time I learned something new, I wanted to go show my mom. It's like, Mom, check this out. Like I just learned hot cross fucking buns.
Yeah.
You know, like and then like as I got older, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna show that to them. I'm not gonna show that to them yet. And then it makes when they're there, it makes it it's so much more powerful, I feel like.
Right. What I think about my parents too is like especially when I was in high school, like I was in like multiple bands, and my dad, like me and my brothers helped him, but like he made a whole nother room. Like we dug out another room under my deck and built this like room for me to play in, to have like a drum set in. It took like 3 or 4 months to like build.
Wow.
And then we had I had rehearsals with my bands every day, and my parents just like, it was like midday, it was like after school, so my parents were just getting home from work, you know. And like you think like most people like get home from work, they just want to kind of relax a little bit, and they were willing to put up with and I wasn't in like some soft like jazz band, like I was in like some metal and like some rock groups. And
Dude, yeah. And like after like, you know, spending a little bit of time like giving lessons to kids, like kids are bad. You know?
Yeah.
I like when I was playing like me and my friends like literally playing like fucking Magic Carpet by Steppenwolf like for over and over and over again, out of tune, like out of time. Like my parents were probably just like,
fuck.
Yeah.
and they just let us.
Yeah. Which is so amazing. And I think it's so important for people. Like if you have a kid who is even just remotely interested in music, just foster that, you know, don't squash on that, because it takes a lot of patience, but at the same time, the benefits are so beautiful.
Yeah, dude. Well, I feel like that applies, like that same sentiment applies to kids exploring anything, whether it's music or fucking math or astronomy, or they are trying to learn more about what it actually means to be a firefighter, like shit like that, whatever it is, as long as you like encourage them to actually do something, like that's the important thing. That's one thing I was actually thinking about today. I was going to get some LED strip lights and I was driving in my car and I was like, I was thinking about what is the meaning of life. It's a very deep thing to be thinking about on the stroll to get some LEDs. But I was thinking the meaning of life to me is doing things. It's like as simple as that. Because when I'm not doing things, that's when I start to feel anxious. That's when I start to feel depressed. And I'm saying things as very broadly, deliberately, because it doesn't matter what it is, but as long as I'm doing it and it's something that I want to do, you know, if I want to go to a soup kitchen and volunteer, that's fucking awesome. If I want to, you know, fuck off for a month and go to Europe and travel around, that's fucking awesome. But if I'm just sitting on my ass watching TV, that's not cool. I got to do something. I'm not fulfilling my purpose. I'm not fulfilling the meaning of what it means to have been blessed with such a gift as life, you know?
Yes, man. Yes, that's beautiful.
That's some shit for you right there.
You said it right. Just a casual cruise to pick up some LED strips.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I don't even know what brought it about. But especially I'm driving in fucking Mount Pleasant. It's not like I'm driving in the Grand Canyon or anything. You know, like, it's not
the Grand Canyon
hill.
of Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Fire up chips.
Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant, where there is no mountains at all. It's just
There's
flat.
not even a fucking hill.
Yeah. They should just call it Pleasant.
Yeah.
They should just call it smells like shit sometimes because
the farms.
Yeah, because the farms, it literally smells like cow manure.
Yep. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
I'm gonna pause here for a second. So we're gonna give you like an outro. And just like a formal outro, and then we'll do like one of these things. And then like that will be like the end of the podcast, but we want to talk to you after, if that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a little bit cool. All right. Well, Jacob, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I love the fact that we can interview so many people, and every person that we interview, we learn so much from. And we've learned a lot from you today. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you taking the time, because time is such an important thing for everybody. And we appreciate you taking the time and being a part of this. And for everybody listening, please go check out Jacob Sigman's new album, Color Coded Heart. You will not regret it.
Do not fucking sleep on it. Don't sleep on it.
I've literally listened to it 4 times all the way through.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm not going to lie, because
it's so good.
Let's get that other song going.
Man. I'm so
Absolutely.
fucking down. I'm so down. Please.
Yes.
Just hit me up. Give me a call. I'll be there.
I'll work on something.
Everybody check out his social media. After Sigman.
After dinner Sig.
After dinner Sig. After dinner Sig on Instagram. Check him out. With an S. Everybody. Check him out. Instagram, Facebook. He's got a link tree too, which is beautiful. It takes you to every and anything that is Jacob Sigman.
Thanks.
And we thank you so much for being a part of this.
For real,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
You're fucking
One
blast,
love.
man.
Yeah,
One love. Oh.
We will have you again.
Hell yeah.
Yes.